Hi, I'm Tim from the Heresy Group. Today I want to talk about two products very quickly. They are from the guys over at TagInn, known for their infamous tag rounds within the Airsoft and Milsim community. These are two products that I think are really key to getting someone going, and these are the things that I would advise someone to get if they wanted to get into the launching of tag rounds, and these are probably the best starter kit in my opinion. Now, this is definitely not the cheapest way of getting into it, but I think for longevity and for being able to use them in multiple weather conditions, this is the setup that I would go for. Now, if you do want a full in-depth video on tag rounds, the equipment, the launchers, everything, there is a video back on the channel, which is theheresygroup.com. You can go back. It's like a tag starter video. It's about 25 minutes long. Me and Richie talk about both our experiences, different rounds, and the launchers that we personally use. But just to get going, I would say that these two products for me are absolutely vital. This is the Fist system, and this is the Pro Shell. Now, why I would recommend the Pro Shell over the standard shell: the Pro Shell will allow you to use CO2, and it is only for CO2. So if you do go and get yourself a Pro Shell, please don't use green gas, red gas, black gas, whatever. It will damage the shell and it will stop it from working. This is designed for CO2 only. I've had a lot of people ask me about this. It's written on the top of the box. So before you open it, CO2 only. So just be very, very clear that if you get yourself a Pro Shell, you need to get yourself a Fist as well. And then the Fist runs off 12 gram CO2 capsules. So why would I recommend the Pro Shell? Because it is slightly more expensive. Well, it runs a much higher PSI, which means that you're going to get a higher velocity from your rounds, which means you can launch them from further away. So for me, that's a real key thing. You get a lot less fluctuation with performance over with CO2. So if you get yourself the Fist system, if it's a hot day, cold day, you know, that can be very, very influential on the way that normal gas is provided and the way that it is expelled and that sort of thing. You know, we all know that in cold weather, gas doesn't work particularly well, whereas CO2 is very much less impacted by the weather. So something to consider is to you know, look at going down the CO2 route, especially if you're in a country like the UK that at the moment we're having some very, very hot weather, some very high temperatures, some very high humidity. But in no doubt a few weeks' time, it will be down near 0 degrees. It can be very cold, frosty. And if you leave this on the floor out overnight or in a kit bag overnight, if you're out, you know, doing a 48-hour event, then obviously that is going to impact the performance of other gases, but has much less of an impact, as mentioned, on CO2. So this setup, I'll go through the Pro Shell first. It is slightly different in the way that it is constructed. As you can see on this illustration down the right side, it is slightly different. Opening the shell up does look like a traditional shell, so the nice part about this is that you can unscrew the top. If the top of this shell gets damaged, you can unscrew it and replace it, and these are actually very, very cheap to replace, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to unscrew this all the way just so you can see that it's got a mammoth amount of thread on here to stop it from being essentially damaged, or to stop the body from being of the shell being cracked when it is launched. So just looking inside there, if I just tilt this to one side, hopefully you'll be able to see there is full spiraling on the inside of this, and that is going to help give that tag projectile some good spin in the air, and some rifling on that is going to really help keep that nice and straight. So you will get a little bit of jolt in the air, and if you are firing it a long distance, you might find that it's going to peel slightly off to the right, obviously depending on wind conditions or that sort of thing. But if it's a really still day, you do see that slight bend off to the right, so you can compensate for that. But you only really see that when you're shooting out around the 100-meter mark. But prior to that, they're pretty much dead straight. So you've got nice big thread on there, really, really well made, beautifully machined. And as you can see on the very back of here, you've got two key things that you really interact with, you know, using this day to day. Now, you don't need to lube this or anything. You can use silicone oils and stuff on this, but I would only do it at the discretion of yourself, or if you've gone on the TAG website and seeked help, technical advice, and they've advised you. So in the middle of here, you have the loading pin. You essentially push that all the way in until it clicks. So I've done mine, and then you release it back up, and that is now primed, ready for use. You then use the fill side, and you'll use your Fist system. So I'm just going to place this box down on the ground and get the Fist system out. Now, the Fist system does not have a CO2 capsule in it, so I won't be showing you the actual loading. Do not want to do that in this studio environment, but I will show you essentially how this works. Just going to take it out of the box here. It's a pretty simple system. As you can see there, you unscrew the end, is a lot of thread on this, so it's not something that can be done particularly quickly. See a nice bit of grease inside there. Slide your CO2 capsule in, as you can see by the little windows in the side, if it's got one in. Close this lid down like so. No gas will be being expelled at this point. The only time this will expel gas is when this nozzle is depressed. As you can see there, that is just pressing in. It is quite stiff, but it is pressing in. So what you're then going to do once you've got your CO2 bulb loaded in here, you're going to put it into the fill nozzle like so. Just make sure it's sat on there. You could very easily damage this, so make sure it is sat central. Then you're just going to push it down, and the furthest you can push this down, there'll be about a 5mm gap between the base of the fist system and the shell. You will hear it. It's a bit like pouring water into a bottle. That's how I describe it. You know, when the pitch of the water slightly changes as it gets towards the top, and you're like, shh. You'll hear that within this, within the Pro Shell. You can hear it filling up. Now, if you've got comms on and lots of stuff going on around you, just give it a good 5-second blast. You're going to be fine. If you're really conscious of usage and stuff like that, make sure you're not doing any damage. Just bring it up to your ear. Again, you will hear that kind of shh, and it will kind of stop taking any more gas. That's when you know this is full. What I would then recommend is that you put your round in this and you put it somewhere safe where that pin cannot be accessed. So you want it, you know, face downwards in a pouch, or if you've got, you know, a particular pouch for this, make sure that the shell base is down so that nothing is going to hit the bottom of it. You're not going to push the top of it by accident, just to be ultra safe. Once that's in there, you can then put that into your launcher and you're ready to go. Very, very simple again then. You just need to, you know, get a tool. You can do this with the end of the fist nozzle yourself. If this has got not got a cartridge in it, push that in like so. Once that's locked into place, you can hear a click. Release that to the top so it sits all the way to the top proud. Again, then you're just going to fill it up with your CO2 like so, and then you're ready to go again. So very, very simple to fill, very simple to use. These are the tools that I would recommend. They are going to give you the most efficient, the most consistent use as well over all the different weather conditions. So this is the fist system and the Pro Shell from the guys over at TagInn. We will be doing lots more tag footage. There is some gameplay footage of Richie launching tags out. You can see that back on the channel. There is a video on Instagram that went pretty viral of me with my Buccaneer firing at M79, putting some rounds in on some players at a recent Milsim. So lots of media from us. There will be a lot more coming to the channel on tag and tag rounds and other equipment that they do. If you do have any questions about the fist system or the Pro Shell, please make sure you put them in the comments box below. Hopefully I've covered everything. They are pretty simple to use. It's just making sure that you do them correctly and make sure that you are storing these in a nice dry environment at all times. Last thing you want to do is sort of get any damage, dirt, rust, anything like that. You want to keep these clean as well. That's the key thing. So yeah, any questions about this, please make sure you put them in the comments box below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.